I'm vibing!
That's most definitely what's up. That's most definitely what's up.
Shout out to the chess club. We're aiming for a controversial 7 out of 10.
Death to all of them.
Times the detail.
Assassins, Creed Valaha.
That's most definitely what's up.
Death to all of them.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I've missed you. And now, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna vibe. We're gonna vibe. How is everybody? Everybody feeling good? Today's gonna be a fun day. We have an Xbox partner showcase. So to be clear, this isn't gonna show off almost certainly like a Starfield DLC or anything like that. It looks like it's gonna be partners like EA, Ubisoft is possibly gonna be there, so we might see Star Wars Outlaws or AC Red or something. So people they've worked with, but not necessarily, you know, an official Xbox game, if that makes sense. But I'm still pumped, I'm still excited. It's gonna be fun to see what they've got cracking or cooking. And I have spent the morning trying to get a thumbnail made for this Dragon's Dogma 2 video because I just can't settle on it. Weirdly enough, they haven't really had a lot of good screen caps released. They've kind of been lacking on that. Meridonis 74, thank you for resubbing 5 months on Twitch. My goodness, thank you. Poggers, thank you. Still working, currently putting a furnace together. Oh baby, love the content, keep up the good work. Good luck, Luis. That's a lot harder than what I'm doing for work today. So I'll give you that. I'll give you that. You guys remember I was complaining about the fence that we have in the backyard that's falling down because of the windstorms and stuff we've had? Well, I finally like low-key threatened to sue the management company that was taking their sweet time, because I can't talk directly to the owner of that house. It's a rental property, so like they have it hidden under layers and layers of trusts and LLC, so I can't talk to the owner to say let's get a fence made. So I've been talking for like 2 months to this management company trying to get this on the schedule to get it replaced and repaired, and they've just been dragging their feet like, oh well, yeah, we're just working on it, things are slow. I called the fencer. In 5 minutes, I had an idea of his schedule. He's like, yeah, I'm good to go. Just give me the green light. I'm good to go. So it's like, okay. So either it's the owner or it's the management company or both. Either way, nobody likes to get sued. So I called one of my attorneys and had them send a scary letter to be like, yeah, so the HOA guidelines are very clear. You need to do this, this, and this. Otherwise, the costs, you know, are split evenly, and if they have to compel you to contribute your half, then they can take you, the owner can take you to small claims court and get lawyer fees covered and everything, and then take the money for the fence. And then all of a sudden they get really cooperative and they they figured it out. It was crazy. I was just like, why, how on earth is it taking this long? The fence is at like this angle. The fence is falling over. I can't even let my kids out to play in the backyard because the fence is falling apart. Like, it's not safe. And so I was like, it's been 2 months. I've been very patient. And all of a sudden they start cooperating when you threaten to to get lawyers involved. They're like, okay, you got us, enough's enough. So the story has a happy ending, you know? I know, I totally understand people love, or people not love, they do the opposite of love. People hate HOAs. This is one of the rare times where an HOA is useful, because the HOA, if it didn't exist in this neighborhood, I would just have to pay that full like $4,000 to fix that fence or replace it. But because of the HOA and the things you have to agree on when you buy a house in this neighborhood, they have to pay for half of it. They don't have a choice. And so if they drag their feet and they don't want to spend it and they don't want to do it, I can still just do it if I can demonstrate the fence really needed repairs, which it clearly does, and then take them to court, and then they basically get a court order to pay the other half and the lawyer's fees involved with it. So all of a sudden people start behaving and doing what they need to do. Let's see. Yes. New to channel, loving the videos. Is that a Hogwarts replica? Yeah, this is a Hogwarts Legacy Lego castle. So this is a Lego one. I've had a lot of people ask that. Okay. You should have staged a dramatic play to demonstrate the consequences of the problematic fence. Oh, kind of like in The Office with Michael on the roof. Oh, my life. Oh, my life. The stresses of a modern office have forced me to go into a depression. Dwight, you ignorant slut. I was just trying to type in Dragon's Dogma 2, and I typed in Drogma Dragon with like DRGN 2. My brain is fried today. My brain is fried, which is good because I guess, you know, we're just going to be able to vibe and watch this event, which is going to be good. The Thaumaturge. I have it pulled up in my doc. We'll see if we get to it. We shall see. There's been a handful of other things we could also touch on. I mainly just don't know what we're gonna see. Like the show today from Xbox could be a total nothing burger, to be very, very clear. I don't want anybody getting their hopes up unreasonably. It could be that it's just straight up like nothing burger after nothing burger, a little like Square Enix spin-off titles. Like it could be a lot of nothing. My hope is that it's not, and that it's badass and awesome. And they have like Star Wars Outlaws and stuff like that there, but time will tell. Jacob, if you're in here, do you have timestamps for this Dragon's Dogma video, by the way? I just realized I don't. Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. Oh wait, hold on. I have to respond to the one and only Joe Raptor. Hold on. Please hold. Yeah, KOTOR is confirmed, not canceled. Yeah, well, last I heard is that they had like 5 or 6 people working on it, which to me sounds like they're just going back to scratch, and they're doing like collections of narrative stuff, and they're collecting what they need to do for it, kind of doing ideation and pre-production. So it's like, it's not gone, but it's far from like 1,000 people are working on it, and it's happening, you know. Just added timestamps. Ooh, piece of candy. Don't you love having like a team member where you're like, hey, can you do this real quick? And then they do it, and it's awesome. Refreshing. Timestamps. I love it. I'm in loving it. Will there never be a Bloodborne for PC? I think what everybody's expecting, we talked about this with Joe Raptor on the podcast a few weeks ago. I think what they're going to do is they're going to kind of, I mean, basically they're going to chill for a while, and that's going to be the PS6 launch exclusive that they probably also bring to PC a month or two later. I think they're going to start compressing it, so we start to see a lot of like PC launches closer to the PlayStation 5 launch. I don't think they're gonna keep waiting like a full year, but we'll see. But yeah, it only makes sense to launch it on PS6, right? That's like their Demon Souls. It would sell the console immediately by itself. Like, work wonders. What's crazy, it'll be like 11, 12 years old at that point, but still. The other thing they could do is launch it with a PlayStation 6, or rather PlayStation 5 Pro, but I don't think they have it ready. The fact that it's still up in the air, I mean, that kind of says everything you need to know. Where's the official Xbox feed? I don't trust any of these guys. I don't trust any of the IGN restreamers or anything. But yeah, the exact verbiage for this event is our second ever Xbox partner preview is here with just about 30 minutes of nonstop, no frills news and updates on some exciting unreleased games from our studio partners around the world. We share updates from Kitugami, Path of the Goddess, First Berserker Kazan, Tales of Kenzera Zhao, and more. I don't know like any of those. So my hope is that they have a couple of other things up their sleeves. It might just be like a straight up, like here are some games targeting Japan and more indie style stuff, maybe, but I guess we'll see. In the meantime, yeah, they did drop this, which, I mean, for the first time on PC, Ghost of Tsushima coming to PC. Look at that. It's Nixus who's working on it. Ultra-wide support. I like how they have to specify compatible monitor required. Like you could play ultra-wide on a non-ultra-wide monitor. Then it would just be like a wider aspect ratio, whatever. Anyway, DLSS 3, AMD FSR 3, low latency, DLAA support. I mean, the game looks gorgeous. DualSense support with haptic feedback. Loved that. Loved that. I mean, looks like Lukey's gonna need another run through. I'll tell you what. Sure does. Sure does. I mean, it already looked really, really good on PlayStation 5. Even on PS4, it looked really good. But on PlayStation 5, the game looked and ran really, really well. So now that it's on PC, it's just like cranking the dials, higher resolution, lock it at 120 FPS, like just go crazy with it. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I only played like an hour of the co-op mode. Did anybody in here play more of the co-op mode? I played it for like an hour and I was like, yep, it works. And I didn't really do anything beyond that. It was fine. Made me wonder if they were prepping for like a spin-off game with multiplayer or something. But it looks really good. It looks really good. I think they're trying to show off the like upscaling stuff because there are some artifacts through this, but yeah, it looks really, really solid. Nixus is the one. They did this. So they worked on the Miles Morales PC port, Spider-Man Remastered. They joined PlayStation officially in 2021. Projects. Rise of the Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Marvel's Avengers, oops. But yeah, they've worked on mostly conversions of games developed on console, but porting them to PC. And of the ones they've worked on, as far as I can tell, the good ones. It's not like they're in Iron Galaxy. If you don't know Iron Galaxy, these guys, why does it do this? Just go here, yeah. So I just want Iron Galaxy. These are the guys behind, like, I think it was The Last of Us Part 1 port, and then they did Legacy of Thieves, which was fine. They also worked on like the Arkham Knight PC port. Yeah, they did support for a bunch of these games. It's funny how many of these companies overlap and have their hands in so many different pots. It's just funny to me, you know, it's funny. It's a small world out there. It's a small world in the gaming space, I'll tell you what. Is anyone expecting anything big from the Xbox stream? Not really, no. I don't think anybody should expect a lot. I mean, even now on the page, they have like a pinned comment, Kunitsugami, and like that's what's pinned. It's not even like a playlist on their main channel. So what even is this game? So it seems like most of this event is for this game. And I think if the trailers are mainly this, I think people are going to be disappointed. Which is why I'm trying to be clear with expectations. This is all they've talked about, is this game and a couple of others. So I would just not get my hopes too crazy up. And it doesn't look bad. I just have never heard of it. It's kind of that particle effect fetishism, you know, where it's just like, particles, go! And that's the art style. Square Enix kind of falls in that trap sometimes. Players 1, ESRB rating T, and release date TBD. Developed on the RE engine. That's crazy. So yeah, I don't really know what to make of this, but we're going to find out more about it today. But this is all they've really talked about. So people talking about Silk Song, people talking about all the other like Stalker 2, Call of Duty updates, Helldivers 2 on Game Pass. Yeah, if you're expecting that stuff, I think you're going to be sorely disappointed. If like Ubisoft shows up, I'd be really surprised and very, very happy. But I don't think they even show up. I think most likely they're just playing it safe with these little reveals, and there's not going to be a ton here. But that's the great thing about low expectations. When you have low expectations and something awesome happens, it's all the more exciting. You know? You have nowhere to go but up. And that's the thing. I wanna go up. Let's see it. Man. Or you could have high expectations and be disappointed. You're right. You could do that. I'm also surprised. I feel like they haven't really promoted this event that much. Is that just me? Have you guys seen it on social media? I really have not noticed a whole lot of discussion about it. It kind of came out of nowhere, which is another reason I feel that this probably is not like A-team reveals. It's probably smaller stuff. What did they announce at the last Xbox partner preview? It was October. Okay, so back then they revealed Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, Alan Wake 2 new gameplay, Ark Survival Ascended, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth got a trailer, Still Wakes the Deep got a trailer, Mana Lords does look good. Yeah, not a whole lot. So I'm expecting smaller reveals. I don't think they'll have any bombshells, but if they do, I'll be happy. I believe in Silk Song Cope. I didn't know this was announced. I didn't know until I saw your YouTube notification. Yeah. And I feel like if they were going to drop something huge, if they were going to come in here and just like, here's Star Wars Outlaws, and here's another look at Indiana Jones or something, I think that we would have known about it. They would have pushed it a lot more. So some people are really hoping for multiverses. PS5 better. Clown. Silk Song never existed. Clown, clown, clown face. Man, seriously, what the hell is going on with Silk Song? How many years has it been since they revealed that? Like 5 or 6? It feels like it's been ages. It's ridiculous. I'm also 3D printing a Warhammer 40k dice tower right now. Isn't that kind of cool? It's working. It's doing its thing. It's getting there. It's gonna be like this tall. You put the dice in and it all floods through and rolls into a tray covered in skulls and stuff. It's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be cool. Microsoft announces Diablo 5 The Purge. Well, they've already said that they're aiming for like a less, or rather a more frequent release schedule from Blizzard. So I don't think we're gonna have to wait another like 5, 6, 7, 8 years for the next Diablo. I think they probably go every few years, maybe 3 to 4. I thought you got a resin printer. Yes. I have a problem. Okay, I have a problem. I did resin print some stuff. You wanna see that? We have 60 seconds. I have to glue him. But this guy is like a big jailer dude. Oh, wait. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, right. Wrong camera. There we go. This is like a big jailer dude. Come on. See that? And so like his belly is a cage that everybody's trying to break free of. And so there's like bodies and corpses and guys trying to climb out from inside his stomach cage. Isn't that kind of gross and disgusting? Isn't that awesome? So this is one of the first resin prints. There's also like a werewolf in transformation right there. And the base goes on it. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm having fun with it. It's hideous. I love it. Exactly. Exactly. Event will begin shortly. I'm waiting. Refreshing. I just published. I need to just publish this video. I've been doing this for how many years, and I still get super anxious whenever I publish YouTube videos. It's so funny. I get like so weirdly anxious about it. So I'm always like, did I make like a mistake? Is there like a problem with it? Like, what's the deal? Reminds me of my ex-wife. That would be a cool Elden Ring boss. Yeah, well, I can show you like the full if I can find it actually. I think it was like the jailer. Yeah, this is what he'll look like when he's painted. So you couldn't really get a good look at it from that camera angle, but this is what he'll look like when he's fully painted. The little fella. There's a lot of detail on there. And I agree, this would be a really cool Elden Ring boss. Like, come on. Or Bloodborne. I mean, come on. Okay, everybody get ready for disappointment. Here we go. You ready? Is it bad that whenever I see like an eclipse now, after watching The Office, I always think of Michael Scott's parody song, Total Eclipse of the Fart? Every single time. Every single time. It could be a very serious moment in a film or fantasy novel or something, and I'm like, fantasy,
Won't you
Total
at
Eclipse
least
of the
tell
Fart.
me what we're doing here? All I know is that it's serious.
It's more than serious, Luna. It is dangerous.
It is very Assassin's Creed.
In my experience, the greatest harm often comes from the best intentions.
The cycle is starting again. How many more times must we endure the vanity of the Nine?
When there isn't a path to be found, make one.
She also looks super familiar. Was she like a face scan of an actress or something? Maybe I just know someone that looks like her. Unknown Nine Awakening.
You've been here before, countless times, and so shall
Yen
you
in
be
the
here
Witcher
again.
TV show.
In fact,
That's right. That's who it
you're
looks
here
like.
right now.
Yeah, you're totally right. I wonder if that is her. It's a terrible name for a video game. I'm sorry. Unknown Nine
Learn how to
Awakening.
wield otherworldly skills in the world of Unknown 9 with an in-depth developer update on Xbox Wire.
Kind of a weird voiceover.
Everyone's got an ex-employer they wish they never worked for.
In-engine.
Not everyone's ex-employer
Bummer.
set them up to take a fall. Just so happens they framed the wrong witch. They call me Lady Luck, and every card I draw is lucky.
It kind of looks like that
And when I find out what my old coven is up to,
RPG. I think it was
they
Lamplighter
better hope they
League or
have a
something.
good hand.
Over there! She's here!
Not tonight, boys. If the coven wants to play, they'll have to play dirty.
Sleight of hand. Ooh. That's cool. That's different. I like the art style a lot. From the creators of This War of Mine and Frostpunk.
What if you could change the decisions you regret in your life and see the outcomes of those choices with your very own eyes? The Altars tells the story of Yandol's,
that font hurt my
a simple
eyes.
miner who survived a crash landing on a hostile planet. He quickly realizes that what was supposed to be a lifetime job opportunity turns into a desperate fight for his life.
Is it Death Stranding 2?
Jan will need to handle a large mobile base that's designed to be operated by an entire team of qualified personnel. Even worse, the planet Jan landed on revolves around the deadly scorching star. Escaping the sunrise is crucial for survival. Despite his best efforts, Jan simply lacks the time and skills to deal with all these problems on his own. But the planet Jan is stranded on is home to a mysterious substance called Rapidium. With its use and the help of the quantum computer on board, Jan is able to create alternative versions of himself. The Altars. Each one of them is a result of altering a crucial decision from Jan's past. The Altars are a reflection of the questions he asks himself. What if I never left my hometown? What if I didn't drop out of college? What if I fought harder to save my marriage? Our Altars have the necessary knowledge and skills that we desperately need to succeed. But they also come with their own goals, ambitions, and fears, all derived from their different life paths. And that can generate problems.
Stop pretending you have any idea how I feel.
Incompetence, incoherent decision-making, a groundbreaking mission on the verge of failure. Damn, I
I just hope I don't f everything up again.
You want a relationship that lasts. Put some effort in it.
Each Yan is a different person. It will be extremely difficult to keep everyone happy.
You gotta learn how to say no sometimes.
But we must do whatever we can, because as the mission goes on, the challenges will only pile up.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's like a melding of Death Stranding, Returnal, and Fallout Shelter.
Obstacles on the outside. Internal tensions that could
maybe
prove
not
to be
Returnal.
even more dangerous.
Graphically,
and with
it
the ticking
gives those
clock
vibes,
of the
but-
deathly sun behind our backs, the only way home is to press forward.
Honestly, very unique. It's a melding of different ideas, different things. I kind of think it could be cool. One to keep an eye on, I think. I think Pal World showed us that there's nothing wrong with melding together ideas from different games into something like a little bit different, but it's just at its core an amalgamation of a bunch of established ideas. The Pied Piper. Creatures of Ava? Okay. Needs guns, yes.
Learn how Creatures
It
of
looks
Ava
good,
places you
but
in the
can
role
I
of
shoot
savior
them?
in a first look preview on Xbox Wire.
Do I think we'll see a Starfield DLC trailer? I don't think so, because this is a Xbox partner showcase, so I wouldn't expect it. Is it just Roblox? Saints Row? GTA 6?
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end.
Okay.
You.
That was not on my bucket list. Grief will survive the nightmare. Okay, Roblox. It is Roblox. Roblox runs on like actual potatoes, which is why it looks like that, but still. Okay. Ooh. Frogwares. These are the guys that did Sinking City. They do like the Sherlock Holmes games. Is it a sequel to Sinking City? It kind of looks like it. Cthulhu? Uh-oh, sticky. I love Lovecraftian horror. Oh, baby. Sinking City 2, baby. I'm here for it. The first one is, it's in the same category as like Vampire.
Want to dive deeper into this mystery? Discover more about this long-awaited sequel.
It's like pretty clunky and weird, but like the world building and ambiance is really good.
My warrior of light. Walk free and bear the light for others to follow.
I'm just used to if it's a Final Fantasy game with worse graphics, it's probably 14.
Scions will fight until our last breath.
Forward, my friends, for freedom and justice!
You do know you're not alone in this, don't you?
Darkness and light, despair and hope. As goeth one, so goeth the other. Become light, become hope.
Yep. Full release. That's a good get. That's a good get. People who love Final Fantasy XIV love it. Like, they go crazy for it. What is this? Rust? PUBG? PC series? Stalker.
Check your guns and ammo just in case.
Interesting. Clear sky. They're dropping all of it. Dr. Phil? Well, there you go. Available today. That's a cool get. That's cool.
Learn how developer GSC Game World brought the cult classic Stalker trilogy to Xbox in an exclusive Xbox Wire interview.
And now for something completely different. El Toro Loco. Monster Jam. I've been thinking about taking the boys to go see Monster Trucks. I think Lachlan would love it. They come through every once in a while to the Pepsi Center. I think it's the Pepsi Center that does it. Might be the Budweiser Event Center. It's just like stupid, pure Americana, you know? It's just outrageous. Hell yeah, bro. I think I've been to one monster truck rally in my life. I think they mind the noise. We'd probably get them those whatever, not earmuffs, like actual ear protection. Definitely for Ori if Ori were to go. Persona 3 Reloaded.
時間や空間に歪みが起きてるんです。この地下にある時の狭間のせいで。
まさか同じ一日がずっと繰り返されてるんですか？
タルタロスのように何か厄介な力で発生したということかもしれないな。
たく勘弁してくれよ。
何今の？
彼は見事命の答えにまでたどり着いた。あなたの得たワイルドの力は。
Xbox fans don't realize how big of a deal this is. This is awesome. Persona 3 is great. Persona 4 is awesome. Persona 5 is life-changing. Expansion Pass Wave 3. Persona music's goated. I don't care what anyone says. I like Persona music generally more than Final Fantasy music. For me, it's poggers. Voila.
Uncover what else the Dark Hour has in store for Game Pass members this year on Xbox Wire.
Did this guy record the voiceover in his closet while his house was being burglarized? Like, why is he... It's weird. Shadow drops. I do love shadow drops. Is it just Phil Spencer hiding in his bathroom? Yeah, he voiced acted being hungover. I can't let the burglars hear me, but please buy the new Persona. Dude, straight up. He's a little EP, yeah. What is this? He's trying to sound erotic. What is that frame rate? That's a sexy dragon right there. The first Berserker. Looks like a game you'll play if you want to be miserable. In like a fun way.
Kalunga,
you know?
God of Death, hear my plea.
Ridley Scott Creative Group. Oh, right. This is one from Abu Bakr.
There are 3 great spirits who have denied you. I seek my Baba's return in exchange for these spirits. Tales of Kinzera Zhao takes you on a journey through a land enriched with myth and legend, but torn apart by illness and tragedy. Grief is ever present here. From the arid deadlands, the harsh and unforgiving terrain, to the dense and dangerous forest floor of the woodlands, a place laden with mystery and fear. In your arsenal, you carry your late Baba's masks. The Mask of the Moon, utilized best for crowd control, and the Mask of the Sun, a chaotic ballet that compels you to engage spirits in melee combat. The Mask of the Moon, the Mask of the Sun. You must embrace the dance of the shaman. Each ability gained by the player can be used both traversally as well as in the fray of combat. For example, take Akida's spear. Not only can it be used to activate elements that are out of reach, but also engage and pierce through multiple enemies at once. And with each small victory along your journey, you will grow and better yourself, obtaining powers and tools that allow you to turn the tides of battle in your favor.
The way you took that Rojo out was amazing!
You should not sneak up on people, young shaman.
We are shamans, healers in a land long past healing.
The complexities of grief inspired the foundations of the world of Kinzera. You will be faced with intricate puzzles, arduous obstacles, and deceptive traps that demand both patience and skill to overcome. And though the path is fraught with adversity, an even fiercer battle rages within you. Mercy is a rare flower that blooms in the lands of Kinzera. But you can do this. I know you can.
April 23rd. It does look really good. It's a very niche game. I don't think a ton of people are going to play it just because of the style, but it's cool. This kind of thing is right up my alley, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Like, how does this not look so cool to everybody? July. Frostpunk 2, baby! Pre-order today, play the beta. Ooh. We need a 40k Hive City management game. Don't get my hopes up. How dare you? That sounds awesome. This is the main game that they were promoting and they had pinned in the comments and everything. So this is probably where they're gonna finish it. Yeah. Yeah, this is Capcom, made in the RE engine and everything. So that's like a whole settlement system. This new Pikmin game looks whack, guys. What is happening? I don't know. There's dancing. So you expand to new areas by dancing. Love it. I need weed for this one. I just need a little something. Dude, imagine this on acid. You just keel over and die. Your brain would explode. Okay. It's very different. I'm still not totally sure. I mean, it seems like you build a village.
Learn how Kitugami Path of the Goddess mixes action and real-time strategy in an exclusive Xbox Wire piece.
Stop voice acting. Go call the police. Someone's in your house. I mean, honestly, Singing City 2, I think, is the highlight for me. The sleight of hand game looked interesting, but because there's no gameplay, nothing, and we don't know what that's going to be like, can't really do much with it. But knowing that I liked the Sinking City, the sequel gets me excited. Frostpunk 2 also looks badass. And that's that. Okay, how does everybody feel? Rated out of 10. Bearing in mind that I tried very hard to talk people off the cliff of hype. It's like, probably not going to be that great, but still. People still in the comments all over. Where's Silksong? Where's Silksong? I feel like these events just need straight up like a list of games that will not be at certain events. So PlayStation just comes out and is like, there is no Bloodborne 2, okay? Nobody look forward to it. But then inevitably people are like, I actually think it's going to be there. They're just telling us that to not get our hopes up. But then they're going to have it there and it's going to be all the more amazing. It's like, bro. Too much water. That is fair. That's fair. That was it. Yeah, I mean, it's an Xbox partner preview. It's not supposed to be a big showcase of first-party stuff. I mean, it was supposed to be specifically partners showcasing little stuff. Oh, God. Hold on. Somebody linked me this on Twitter. What is this? Okay, this is for the Season 1 update of Suicide Squad. What is this?
When Season 1 launches this March, you'll be able to unlock a new playable character for your squad, the Joker.
I'm the Joker, baby!
The original Arkhamverse Joker has been dead for 5 years, but this is a new Elseworlds twist on the villain.
He was part of the Suicide Squad in the Elseworld that he's from, which already shows that he's slightly more cooperative than the previous Joker we've had.
So he's not the Joker, right? He's just a guy. But dude, those old school cartoons were goated. He was so hardcore. Oh, I forgot in that scene, he's just chucking the money at Lee. I forgot he does that. Yeah, cooperative.
This before Brainiac invaded, so, you know, he's still a bit less experienced.
I think we've taken him back to the kind of more vaudeville roots of Joker. He's masking insecurities with traditional Joker behavior, but deep down, he's not sure who he is yet.
So he's less serious, more insecure version of the character.
I don't know. Who am I? His traversal is all based around a rocket-powered umbrella, which he can blast himself into the air, and then uses that to glide around, and then he can actually flip that down to grind along buildings, knocking enemies out of the way.
I'm very popular, y'all.
The Joker is only the first of the new squad recruits you could meet through the ongoing additions to our game.
Over time, we can build up a library of characters that DC fans might not have expected to see in a video game, like a regular comic book release. I look forward to when the next issue's coming out.
Well, at least they can't mess up Batman.
Well, he's just a sad boy deep down, yeah. Sweet baby ink Joker. Yeah, dude, so the problem with all of this is like, now you start to see the patterns and everything where it's like, I want to be clear. This is cringy, and this decision was made because Rocksteady chose to do it. Like, it's easy to point to Sweet Baby Inc. and be like, oh, they consulted on this, so it's their fault. But that lifts the burden on the people that actually made this decision. Like, Sweet Baby Inc. was hired by these people for consultancy, but they were not the final decision makers. Like, the final decision makers are the guys making the games. When in reality, like, everybody in the audience is looking at these decisions like this. Like, what the hell is that? Why are we doing this? You sure about that? But they still choose to do it. At the end of the day, it still lands on the studio, you know? It still lands on the studio. And I just think, like, with all the craze right now with Sweet Baby Inc. and everything being that visible, it's important to remember that they consulted, which means they offered their opinions, and the opinions might have honestly been taken word for word directly from those consultants, but it was still like the decision maker are still in the studio themselves. So, you know, it can be easy to point to the boogeyman of Sweet Baby Inc., but at the end of the day, it's still the people that are choosing to go along with it that are ultimately responsible for taking bad advice. Because, like, if I am trying to find ways to invest my money and I take feedback from some 12-year-old on TikTok that's like, oh, what you do is you do this, this, and this, buy boob coin, and then you flip it when my Discord group tells you to sell it, and you do this and that, and then I lose all my money. Yes, it was that TikToker's fault that, like, that information or advice existed, but I still made the choice. Some of the blame, dare I say most of the blame, should still land on me, especially if I'm informed enough to know that that's a stupid decision to make. And in the case of so many of these games with some of these plot decisions and narrative decisions, there are just some baffling decisions made that anybody with any semblance of rationality or understanding of the gaming community, they could tell you that this was going to be horribly received and mocked incessantly. It's the same reason why it's always amazing to me with games like Forspoken or games like Saints Row Reboot, that those games launch and the writing staff, the directors, the developers are genuinely surprised when the reaction is really negative. They're like, well, we thought people would find whatever her name is in Forspoken really likable and like a go-getter. She's like a down on her luck city kid that's trying to figure out her life, and she has this cat and she's really witty and funny. Just no idea how she actually comes off to 99% of the people in the universe. And I think it's because the people writing these games are like that, and they don't really have friends, or if they do have friends, all of their friends are just as insufferable as they are. And so you end up with a game full of characters that no one finds interesting or likable or relatable at all. They might even find them actively detestable or annoying, which it's just maybe in 10 years we're going to look back and this era of gaming is just going to be defined by those baffling characters where you're like, how on earth did they not see that this was going to be so poorly received? Like, I feel like you go back into the early 2010s and we didn't have the same problem with really, really cringy characters. You might have stories with bad writing. You might have that. But the cringe is something different. Like, cringe is when somebody's trying to be one thing and they utterly fail at it. And so you're just like cringy. You know, it's like when a comedian gets up there and just bombs. Or when like that discount Joker, hold on. Let me see if I can find the original video of that. I'm the Joker, baby. Can I find it? Yeah, like this. This is cringe. And this is what so many of these games are doing for their characters. And then they're genuinely surprised when you don't find it funny.
Wanna know how I got these scars? Well, I'm the Joker, baby. Hello, beautiful. Must be hard to squeeze. Boy, you are beautiful. Oh, you look nervous. Is it the scars?
Trying to be really scary, not really being scary. It comes off cringy. I want to give him a little, yeah, it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch, yeah. We've all been there, to be fair. If this guy's out there, I did some really cringy scenes when I was doing theater classes and stuff back in the day. So you better believe I've been there. I was just fortunate enough that it was not recorded. So well, let me be very clear. We've all been there. But like cringe as a thing is something that feels relatively modern in the gaming space, at least to me, or maybe it's just more potent now, but it's I hope we snap out of it. It's just you would think after release after release after release of cringe being one of the defining factors in a game's failure, that these executives would kind of wake up to it and be like, okay, how do we avoid that? And yet they continue making the same mistake. And I think it's because they're so disconnected from it that they just trust the advice of these professional consultants who are like, no, this is really badass. People are going to love this. And then when the game flops, they're like, oh, that was weird. It must have been just a bunch of bigoted gamers or something. And it's like, I don't think that is what it is. When you dismiss the opinions of your customers, you shouldn't be surprised when you struggle to run a successful business. Like, and that's what all they do. Like every time you have feedback that they don't, basically any feedback that isn't positive, it just immediately turns dismissive. And it's just, well, no, you're just a hater. You're just a bigot. You're just this or that. And it's just not helpful. And you see the response is just generally very, very negative to the games. People don't like being called bigots when they just simply don't like something. Okay, let's see. Sinking City 2. Somebody was saying something. Hold on. Interesting. Okay, so new segment. Or sorry everybody. New segment. Here we go. So one of the most interesting reveals I feel that happened at the Xbox event just now was the reveal of the Sinking City 2. And the original game, you know, not for everybody. It's pretty clunky. It's a AA game through and through. And but where it excels is with like the ambiance, with the world building, with the horror elements. If you like Lovecraftian horror, you're going to absolutely adore the Sinking City. I encourage you to check it out. It's, again, not for everybody. It's really, really clunky, but it's unique. It's one of the most unique games you'll probably play in a while. So I would recommend that. But But what's interesting about this is that this is coming from a company called Frogwares. And if you don't know Frogwares, they have a complicated history, a very long and complicated history for years and years and years. They've been like really struggling to get their feet under them. They had like lawsuits involved with previous publishers that tried to take the rights to previous games. So the games were delisted, but they were still actually up and available because they wanted to sell them and they needed the money from it. But there's all sorts of contractual disputes involved with Frogwares. And it's been like 2 games in the last 10 years where they've had this happen. So there's something with their contract negotiation team or something where they always get into trouble with it. But now they've revealed this. And what's interesting is, well, I'll just read it. We'll just describe it, okay? Singing City 2 officially announced for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Explore the flooded ruins of Arkham in this story-rich Lovecraftian survival horror. We'll be sharing more news in the coming weeks, but for now, watch the reveal trailer. Find out more below. The Singing City 2 is also coming to Kickstarter soon. Why? To implement new features we currently don't have the resources for. An insanity mechanic, boss fights, etc. And more importantly, because of the war in Ukraine, follow the title to get more or to get notified when it launches. The Singing City 2 is a pivotal moment for us, a new genre, survival horror, and new tech, Unreal Engine 5. We're an independent studio known for detective games, but we need to take bolder moves. The industry's changing, and we want to secure our future. Quite the challenge, especially in a war zone. So please consider supporting us on Kickstarter when it goes live. You can also wishlist the game on the platforms where the page is up. And these look like actual in-game screenshots from stuff they've been working on, and it does look like a notable step up from the Sinking City 1, which was not the most pretty game. You know, it's always been pretty clunky, but it's cool to see them utilizing newer tech. Now, why this is weird is because usually you don't see games announced at like a big Xbox partner event where they're like partnering on distribution or publishing or something, and then have them announce a Kickstarter. It's a little different. In this case, it's a very unique situation, of course, because they're in a war zone literally while they're developing this, and they are trying to find ways to raise funds for it. I would have hoped that Xbox could come in and maybe foot the bill a little bit or partner with them on publishing, but maybe they didn't want that, or maybe they're waiting to see the interest in this and who follows it and asks to be notified when they launch the Kickstarter. Who knows? But I'll sign up for notification of the Kickstarter. Why not? I'm mainly interested in what they do. Like, are they going to offer to put your name in the credits? Are they just going to be like, yeah, you get a copy of the game early? I don't know. I like the idea of Kickstarter stuff, or like more directly involved development, like we saw with Baldur's Gate 3 and some other games that have been in early access for a while. I think that it can be a really good way of developing stuff, but time will tell. So if you're interested in the game, go ask to be notified of when the Kickstarter goes live, and you can at least check it out and see what they have to offer when that happens. But interesting. The fact is, expect delays due to war. Xbox should support them like they do with GSC. The other thing is, support and publishing rights are a two-way street. Frogwares is a company that very, very uniquely has gotten themselves into a lot of trouble before, specifically with publishers. And so they might just be like, hey, we want to do this through Kickstarter. We want to stay in control. We don't want to rely on another big publisher. We just want to do our own thing. And if that's the case, I can't really blame them. So, you know, who knows? They might not have even wanted Xbox's money, even if they offered. And they might be just trying to raise the money themselves. And if that doesn't work, then they'll go to Xbox. It's just kind of hard to say. Let's see. Do any of y'all remember what millennial writers were like in high school? It's no wonder why they're all awful writers now. I still I won't be too specific, but I remember when I was taking theater classes during college as my electives. I remember there was one individual, again being very, very vague, who wrote a play. It was like a 3-minute scene, and you're supposed to write this, present it to the class, and then assign people to read the different parts that you wrote. And then everybody in the class would critique it, including the teacher, give feedback and all of that. And this individual wrote a story that was seriously the most, it was like the Misery Olympics. It was unbelievable. Think of any horrible thing that could possibly happen to an individual. And it was in this. Everybody they knew was dead, but not just dead. They had suffered, let's just say, extensively before it happened. And then, they were disemboweled, and this person's crawling through the intestines. And so it was actually horrifying, and not even entertaining. There was no substance to it. It was just and then as blah, blah, blah crawls through the entrails of their deceased family, they find, remnants of the food of their last meal inside the guts. And it's what is wrong with you? It wasn't even a story. It was just, what's the most insanely messed up thing I can think of? Let's do that. And it was horrible. And then the next week, because all of the feedback was pretty negative to that, it was there isn't really a story here. It's just a lot of horrible stuff that makes me worried for your state of mental being. And so the next week they came in, and it was the same thing, but now it was just monologues from one character being basically describing all of that stuff in that way. And then everybody's I just don't think this is the right style for you. So then a couple weeks go by, and this person comes back in with another script. And this time they're trying to do a comedy. And it was straight up the jokes you would expect to hear in a Forspoken or Saints Row reboot, where it's all sorry I'm late, to this other character. I had to stop for coffee, but then I decided not to support the billionaire patriarchy. And then they just stood there waiting for the laughs that didn't come, and then just kept reading. It was so freaking awkward. But it seems that's the kind of person that now is writing on a lot of these games, where everybody was what is going on? I remember at the time I was talking with some other classmates, and we thought that it was unethical for the college to allow this person to stay in this course and to stay in their major. Because it was with this quality of writing, clearly they're never going to be a successful writer. Maybe we were wrong now that we see all of this. But we were it seems unethical if somebody has zero capability and talent in a given field. It seems really unethical to take their money training them in that field. If you are just totally tone deaf, in your brain, you have no ability to discern different notes, right? It's in your brain. You can't train that or teach that. You're just tone deaf. It just doesn't work. And then you enroll in a college opera program that you're paying $25,000 a year to be in. Isn't it really unethical to take their money as the school? They will never be an opera singer. They'll never be an opera singer. But pretending they stand just as good a chance as anybody, or that they're just as talented as everybody else, to me it seems really unethical to take their money. But the other option is to go in and tell that person, listen, we're going to kick you out of the program because you're tone deaf and you can't sing, and we're just not going to take your money for this. I think that would be a lot of, it would be a tough thing to hear, especially for somebody that's been told their whole life, no, you're a great singer, you're so good, because nobody ever wanted to hurt their feelings. But if you came in and I'd rather you told me, listen, Luke, I know you're trying to get a degree in finance, but bro, you're terrible at math. You need to stop and go somewhere else. Do something else. To me, it just seems unethical. It seems unethical to take their money when they stand zero chance of ever finding success in it. And then those same people will graduate with a degree and they'll be pissed off that they can't ever get a job in their career field because nobody ever told them, hey, maybe this isn't for you, you know? Anyway. Yeah, I'm a severe asthmatic, but I can be a pro soccer player too, lols. Yeah, it's like sometimes things are just not in the cards. It's why actually unironically, okay, I don't know if this is a segment or not, Jacob, but I guess we can figure it out. I unironically think the best movie that Disney has put out in easily 15 years is Monsters University. I just watched this again with Lachlan. He likes it because Mike Wazowski. He calls him Mike Wazowski and solely. But like this movie is great because it's not trying to cushion anything or do the standard Hollywood thing of like chase your dreams and you'll be a billionaire, like actor, movie star, rock star, space pirate, astronaut. Like instead, the whole premise is that Mike Wazowski wants to be a scarer and he works his ass off, works way harder than everybody else, but he's just not scary. He's just not scary. It's no matter how hard he works, it's just not going to happen. And so it's not about like giving up on your dreams. It's about finding the dream that can become a reality and working hard at that and also being honest with yourself. And I feel like that's something that just so often is not addressed or brought up today for anybody is have a dream that's honest and true to yourself. You know, self-deception doesn't do anybody any favors at all. When you're lying to yourself and you're like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty talented. I'm going to be a rock star." When you can't sing and you don't really work for it. Even if you work really hard at being a rock star, some people are just never going to be a rock star. I remember we were just we went to Arizona for like a little extended weekend getaway maybe a month or two ago. And we went there and we went to this like old kind of Wild West mining town that's been since kind of converted into a tourist trap. It was fun though. But we went there and there was this musician there and he was playing in this little restaurant venue place that they have in this broader sort of faux theme park that's Wild West themed and based around this mine that has been out of commission for like 150 years. And while we're sitting there eating our like really cheap fried food, listening to this guy sing, like he is a good singer. He's fine. But the dude's like maybe 60 years old. You know, all of his hair is starting to go white, but he's clearly dyed all of it like jet black. He's got his cowboy hat on, his big sunglasses. He's doing his rock star thing. And he's got the big banners he's printed out with his name and picture on it. And you can scan the QR code. It takes you to his Spotify page with like 35 followers and stuff. And I looked it up and he's released like 30 albums in the last 15 years. He's been pumping out tons of music and stuff. And he's just never really found any notable success. But he is like the Mike Wazowski of the country music scene in, I guess, northern Arizona. Like that was him. He was the Mike Wazowski working his ass off, trying to chase his dream, but it just wasn't really working because it just wasn't in the cards. It just wasn't. And I think that's why Monsters University to me is a movie I really appreciate because it's one of those stories that's actually practical. It's easy to be like, chase your dreams no matter what, kids. You're all going to be the next Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber if you just keep singing and posting TikToks. But that's not really the case. You know, be real with yourself. Be real. Was he a good singer at least? Yeah, like he was fine. He was fine. It wasn't one of those voices where you hear it and you're like, oh, he's going to be successful. I remember I heard a song of a young musician like 3-4 years ago, I want to say. And it came up on my like Spotify discovery feed and it was like an early EP release. I don't think it was even Spotify. I think it was SoundCloud. It was like an early EP release from this like unknown guy. But I was like, this guy's going to be big. Like, and I remember playing the song for Nikki and I was like, yeah, I think this kid's going to blow up. Turns out it's Kid Leroy. And he kind of popped off a little bit, but it's because like you could hear the tone of his voice, and he was working with Juice World at the time and honing his skills and everything. And he ended up blowing up. Like, he really ended up exploding onto the A-list scene. But he had that 1 in a billion talent that you hear it and it just works, you know? And this guy just didn't have that. He just didn't have it. I listened to Wiz Khalifa on MySpace before he blew up. Oh, man. That's great. So Luke dislikes Zootopia. If I haven't seen Zootopia, so I don't know. But I really appreciate Monsters University because it's not trying to tell kids the standard affair of like, you can do whatever you want no matter what. Don't think about what's reasonable. Like, don't try to chase a dream you can achieve. Like, I don't think lying to children helps them. Like, I'm never going to be a pro football player. If all of a sudden I decide that my dream is to be in the NFL, I'm never going to achieve that dream. So I think having that dream is unreasonable, and I would be better served having a dream that's true to myself and possible. But you say that nowadays and people are like, you're so heartless. Not with that attitude. That's funny. That's funny. What was your dream as a kid? For a while, I wanted to be an Egyptian archaeologist. And then I wanted to be like a professional chess player. And then for a little while, it was an actor. And then it transitioned into YouTuber. And look where I am now. But Egyptian archaeologist, probably that was achievable. It's not a super competitive field. You know, there's not a lot of people that want to be ancient Egyptian archaeologists or anything. Father, well, I mean, when you're like 9 years old, you're not thinking, I want to be a daddy when I grow up. So I you know, when I hit like 22 and I started to realize that was a possibility. Yeah. Then I was like, yeah, one day I want to be a dad and I want to be a father. But when you're a kid, you don't really think about that. But beyond that, like the actor thing was when I was doing plays and musicals and stuff. And I still like doing that stuff, but it's just, the reality of being an actor is so miserable until you make it to like A-list celebrity status where you just get handed millions of dollars for your mere presence. And it's absolutely miserable. Like, audition culture is so horrific. You can't even imagine. It's horrifying. So, you know, and there's stories of people that will go out to LA. One of my, my close friends in high school, his mom lived in LA for like 10, 15 years right after she graduated high school to try and become an actress. And she did some commercials and she did some little stuff, but she said that she really regretted it because she basically spent 15 years of her life sacrificing everything, weekends, every spare moment, going to auditions and practicing scripts and stuff, trying to get discovered. And the most she got was like a toothpaste commercial. And that's it. You know, she's like, I really wish I would have found another passion to focus on and get really good at and specialize in, and not waste all that time trying to please like these Hollywood bigwigs, you know? Yeah. It's for everybody. I think a lot of people that succeed are crazy in a way and don't care if they're going to fail or not because they're not even thinking about that. Yeah, I mean, you have to be relentless. I mean, even with YouTube stuff, I can't tell you for how long I had family members, I had my close friends who I thought were my close friends telling me I should quit YouTube, I should go focus on something else, I should just, you know, I had family members telling me to quit YouTube, double down on the real estate stuff. And now I am making, I'm making more money than I would currently be making doing the commercial real estate thing. A lot of the guys I was hired with in, you know, working at that commercial real estate firm, they haven't done a deal in like 10 months because the market is total crap. So yeah, they might make $30,000 on one deal, but they did $30,000 one time the whole year. And so all of a sudden, once you factor in taxes, they're making like less than they would if they were just working at Walmart. Maybe not Walmart, like McDonald's on a late shift, you know, where they pay you like $20 an hour. And so, you know, I'm very fortunate where I am, but a lot of people were telling me to quit, and maybe I was just too stubborn or stupid. And so I just didn't. Ricky, that happened to me in college. I interned at a local radio station, and they asked me to take some indie Euro band around to lunch and stuff before their set and radio promotions. I took some pictures and such with them. That little Euro band was the 1975. That's awesome. That's funny. You gotta love those stories. It's like when you wanted to be a YouTuber when you were 9. Was YouTube even a thing when I was 9? I guess it technically was, because I was 9 in 2006. So YouTube, I think, was 2005, like late 2005. So YouTube was technically a thing, but I don't think the term YouTuber existed yet, because I think YouTube wasn't even like, they didn't have an option for paying you. Like people couldn't even do it for a living if they wanted to. Fine, Luke talked me into it. I'm starting an OnlyFans. Follow your dreams. Yeah, do what you enjoy, but don't expect to do it for a living. Well, and yeah, like, and also, like, cherish the things that you enjoy. I think that's another big thing. Like, cherish the things that you enjoy, because when you take something that you enjoy and turn it into a job, it's really easy for it to stop being enjoyable real quickly. Real quick. It'll turn into a job and then it's miserable and you're just doing the 9 to 5. You know, there's people that freaking love, like, I don't know, painting miniatures for like D&D or Warhammer. They love it. And then they try to start a business doing it, and all of a sudden they have 50 orders, and every waking moment they're painting and doing the same thing over and over again, and they stop loving it. And so I think, like, even I'm in a very fortunate position where I've very particularly crafted my content around exploring games and looking at them. But so I'm able to play a lot of games, and I'm very, very happy doing what I'm doing. But I know a lot of YouTubers that like specialize in one type of game. Maybe they only cover Bethesda stuff, or they only cover MMOs or whatever, or they only play Call of Duty, and they just are a Call of Duty streamer. And they do that 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and they hate the game. Like, they cannot stand it anymore because they've just burnt out on it 15 times over. And so that's why I think, like, if you really enjoy something, maybe really consider allowing yourself to just enjoy it. You know, don't force yourself to try and make money off of it. Real quick also, let's see. Bender the Offender. Oh geez. Oh, you sent this message while we were doing the Xbox event. That's why I didn't see it. Well, Bender, if you're still in here, thank you for the 5. Don't tell me you got that adult size sippy cup because someone told you they're great. No, I use Yeti. I don't do that Stanley stuff. Yeah, Yeti's just better. Like, I'm a Yeti stan. I even have like the Yeti koozies for my cups. I have a problem, but it's just because they work wonders. Like, I will make ice water in this, and it will stay icy and cold for like 3 days if I just leave it on my desk. Like, it's ridiculous. It's outrageous. Yeah, Yeti's better. Yeti's better. I don't care what anyone says. 1994 Special Olympic Bronze M resubbed with Prime. Thank you for that, my friend. 4 months. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Love that. Bender the Offender, still the best name? Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Astromath.online, thank you for the $1 Canadian super chat. Appreciate you. And Samaya, thank you also for the super chat. As a psychologist, aptitude is always preferred over interest tests. It's easier to develop interests if you're good at something. That's really interesting. I think that's a really good point. Yeah, that's fascinating. I actually really like that. Because there are some things that people are like naturally really good at that they don't realize they're good at. And so I think passions are something that can sometimes be developed, or perhaps always are developed. And so if you can develop a passion for something you're really good at, then you're golden. Then you're set. Like, you're passionate about something you're good at. What else would you possibly want, you know? Yeti's better than everything else? You're goddamn right. Do you think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is better than 16? I haven't finished it, so I don't know about better, but it's very different. Like, Final Fantasy 16, I think, was primarily developed during, like, the craze of, well, maybe not primarily developed, but it was ideated and written during the craze of, like, Game of Thrones. And so it's heavily inspired by that, and you can get that with the narrative and the story. It can be really slow sometimes. So some people are going to absolutely love that. A lot of people are not. And Final Fantasy VII is just good old school game design and quirky mini games and stuff. And it's a really good time. So they're just different. I'm not sure at this point if one is clearly better than the other, because there's still some clunk with Final Fantasy VII. But yeah, it's an interesting question. You guys, I have a question about 40K. A hip replacement surgery is considered forbidden tech? Always. Yep. Can I be compassionate about being an asshole? I mean, if you're good at it, yeah. Really appreciate the content you make. I usually check out your reviews before making a purchase. I appreciate that, Gaming Jaguar. Hey, Luke, just got home from hall training. Happy to catch the stream. Much love listening to you whilst hanging up the watching, which is making it more fun. Oh, awesome. 40K is wild, man. 40K is a lot. Asmund said you might be able to make a pawn for Dragon's Dogma 2 and then people can use that pawn. He said he wasn't supposed to say that, lol. Oh, really? Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I have some knowledge potentially about Final Fantasy 16 that I'm also waiting to be confirmed, because I think there's been a little bit of miscommunication. I feel like there were some journalists that went to like some preview events or maybe have gotten some documentation from them that they weren't supposed to get yet, because I've also seen stuff like that where it seems like somebody says it, then they delete the tweet and they backtrack it and they're like trying to figure out if it's official or what they're allowed to say. So it does seem like there's a little bit of mismatched expectations. Ricky, did it seem like Final Fantasy 16 came out and just no one talked about it? I'm sure it's fine, but I don't remember much fanfare around it. Yeah, it came out in a weird time. Like, it came out, I think, June, and there were so many games for people to play. They already had a pretty big backlog, and so I just think that it was a tough uphill battle to begin with. And it was one of those games that's like, yeah, it's probably an 8.5, maybe even a 9 out of 10. But in a year of 10 out of 10s, like Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate 3, it's just really hard to compete with that. Oh, Mr. Boogle, thank you. Jesus, 10 gifteds. That's Pog right there. Poggers? Poggers in the chat? Thank you, Mr. Boogle. That's very generous. Is the podcast today? The podcast is today. We're going to chat with Mr. Jor Raptor. I was hoping we'd have more to talk about after that Xbox event, but I guess guess not. Oops. Let's see. So an hour 40. Yep. This is one for podcast. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Let's see. Okay. I can do that. Mr. Boogle, the goat gifter of all time. Poggers in chat. There is a lot to talk about regarding the gaming industry. Oh yeah. Just not Xbox. just not Xbox. I mean, they were pretty clear. Everything that they had shown was just like smaller games, and they said it was a partner preview event, so like you can't be that upset about it, but still I was still hoping for maybe a little bit more. Bring all the gifted memberships. Gee whiz, brother lady, we're brother ladies.
Is now a member.
Thank you.
Have you played Pacific Drive? If so, general opinion? I'm having a hard time getting into it, but really wanting to love it. It's just not clicking.
Yeah, it's very different. I have played it. I haven't poured a ton of time in it, or as much time as I would like, just because I got swamped with Final Fantasy VII, but I do plan to go back to it. It's just very different, and the UI is also a little clunky and overwhelming, so that can also cause some frustration. It's not necessarily going to be for everybody, but I would say, you know, if you like the mechanics, if you like the core gameplay, probably try to push on to like 2 to 3 hours in, and then it'll start to become second nature and you'll start to click with it, and it won't be too extremely overwhelming, but you're gonna have to push through to that point, because it does have a little bit of clunk, and it does take a little bit of time to get used to. But if you like the game, if you like what they're putting forward, and you can just push through that initial kind of struggle and frustration, you can have a really good time with it, because it's very unique, probably the most unique game this year. Okay. Will Rocksteady recover from the failure of Suicide Squad in a manner similar to CD Projekt Red's comeback from the initial launch issues of Cyberpunk 2077? I don't think so. I've seen no commitment from... I've seen no commitment from them on fixes, no clear outlines. Maybe they do, maybe they figure it out, but I would be stunned, because it just doesn't seem like they necessarily have the resources. I don't think Warner Brothers is going to give them the resources to do it. And also, just at its core, it's a game that nobody really wanted in the first place. It's one thing if you have a concept that people love, which Cyberpunk was that for a lot of people, and then it doesn't really click at launch, but you work on it and then you deliver the thing people were really excited for. But on the other hand, like what we have in the case of Suicide Squad, it's a game that nobody really wanted. And so I don't think that they can just magically fix it, because to fix it, they'd need to probably turn it into a different game, and that's just not really doable. So yeah, all the OG people are different, or have left now. Yeah, and the founders created a second studio, and they apparently have hired a bunch of the talent from Rocksteady over there. So, like, it's just not the same studio anymore, unfortunately. But it also took like 2-3 years of working on it to fix it. And the problem with live service games is the quality of the player experience plummets when there aren't enough players in the servers. Like, it just doesn't work. And so for Suicide Squad, like, I just don't know how they fix it and then win players over, you know? I'm just not sure. Yeah, Rocksteady, where's the apology video? Yeah, well, and that's perhaps part of the issue, is that they seemingly are refusing to acknowledge there's significant problems with it, which is the biggest red flag. I mean, if they won't even acknowledge that there's problems, I think we're just too far gone. Already, players have been super pissed about the state of the game. Sony just started releasing refunds to players because players were really, really frustrated with the state of it, and you know, they've been struggling there. And then these patches have been coming that haven't really been doing anything or have broken new stuff, and so it's just a mess. It's just a mess. Okay. Let me see if I can find this one. Yeah, okay. So I guess we can talk about this. One of the most baffling moves that's come out in the last few weeks with regards to gaming in general has been the announcement from some executives over at Warner Brothers. Now, Warner Brothers has been struggling a little bit. Warner Brothers Discovery is the parent company that owns Rocksteady, owns all the DC stuff. And they've, in general, been having sort of a rough go of it recently for a number of reasons. I mean, not only is like television advertising dropping, film advertising and film box office performance has not been great for most groups besides like Dune has been successful. I think Dune is actually a Warner Brothers IP, is it not? Maybe it isn't. I don't know. I think it is. Anyway, but in general, Warner Brothers Discovery has been struggling to maintain steady performance and steady financial performance. So they have been talking at various investor conferences and events, trying to calm investors down. Because if we look up Warner Brothers stock, here we go. Close that, zoom in, enhance. Okay. If we do this and we go back, like, let's just go back 3 years. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not. But this from like January or this is probably like January of 21. This is a downward slope. This is in the downward direction. Dare I say dropping. Moving in a southern funnel. Slant. Ski slope. Whatever you want to call it. Okay? This is high-level financial analysis I'm providing you. Okay? So, they've not been doing too hot. Line go down. Exactly, Whitest Rabbit. Line go down. And you said you're not a mathematician. Down means good, right? No. This is why we break it down. It can get confusing. If you turn it upside down, line go up. You are right. Anyway, so the line's been going down. They've been struggling, and people have been, investors especially, have been a little frustrated with it. Whether you look at Series A stock, Series B stock, like people have in general been quite frustrated with it. There's a lot of short interest in the stock, which means that there's a lot of negativity around it. The beta is in line with the market generally, but I mean, all told, they're not doing too hot. And in fact, on a quarterly basis, they're losing like $1.28 per share, which, also not a mathematician, losing money per share is the opposite of what you want to do. So they've been speaking with investors, trying to quell concerns. And one of the things that they've been doing is going to these big institutional investors where they hold events and they give talks. Executives give talks. And, you know, an example of that is like Morgan Stanley. They host events. Vanguard, BlackRock will host events. And they'll invite executives from these companies on to basically tell everybody why you shouldn't give up on us and why you should invest with us. So the reason that's important is because you need to understand the audience to which these executives are speaking. Because the messaging is very particular in those instances compared to if they were talking directly to like gamers or directly to film buffs or this or that. In this interview, though, Warner Brothers Discovery gaming boss JB Perrette said on the company's future strategy, quote, "We're doubling down on games as an area where we think there is a lot more growth opportunity that we can tap into with the IP that we have, and some of the capabilities we have on the studio where we're uniquely positioned as both a publisher and a developer of games. Rather than just launch a one-and-done console games, how do we develop a game around, for example, a Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter that is a live service where people can live and work and build and play in that world in an ongoing basis?" So here's the deal. This initial part, I agree. Gaming is a huge business, and if you produce high quality games that people want to play, they'll buy it in droves, as we saw with like 22, 23 million people purchasing copies of Hogwarts Legacy, making it the most successful game in terms of units sold in 2023, beating out even the likes of like Call of Duty, which is almost unheard of. So this is true. I do think Warner Brothers Discovery is uniquely positioned. They can publish their own games, which saves them money and increases margin. They develop the games themselves, and they have some phenomenal world-class studios under their umbrella that they can use to develop those games. So they have seemingly both parts they need. They have the studio and the talent, and they have the distribution. Both things you need to make a perfect sphere of success, and boom, you just made $1 billion on Hogwarts Legacy. Well, they're taking that and deciding, how can we do better? How do we take Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter and turn that into a live service to generate more revenue? Like, he doesn't say that. People can live and work and build and play in that world in an ongoing basis. Why that's something you need is kind of the big question mark. Clearly, it's because they want to have the ability to release like weekly or monthly cosmetics. Now, there are a couple of ways that this could go. Just to be clear, there's the way that perhaps they're going where it's like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, or I'm sorry.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
You could go that route, which was basically a single player game that was massive, too big for its own good, in my opinion, and that was supported for like 2 full years. And that support was awesome. That allowed them to do cosmetics and little spin-off things, free updates and new modes for the game. And I know I bash Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Plenty, because I think the game is too big for its own good and it was built around wasting a lot of players' time, blah, blah, blah. I've been through it before, including in a 3-hour critique. But I will give Ubisoft credit that they released cosmetics. Some of them did affect gameplay in certain ways, but it certainly was not like game breaking, and it's single player, so it's not that big of a deal compared to like a co-op game. And beyond that, they offered a lot of free updates and new game modes that very few single players get. So the game that you could play right now in the form of Assassin's Creed Valhalla is very different and way bigger than the game you got back when the game launched in 2020, which is cool. That's cool. So I do think that they deserve a little bit of credit for that. So I want to play perhaps devil's advocate a little bit. This doesn't necessarily mean that Hogwarts Legacy 2 is going to be a live service travesty full of microtransactions. It's going to be Suicide Squad 2.0 and it's just going to be a disaster. I don't think that's necessarily a given. We've seen some suggestions saying that they might shift and change approach, but nothing's confirmed right now. Nacho Muriel asks with the super chat, are games as a service really working? I feel like a lot of them fail. Maybe just Helldivers is a success. Well, the old strategy has been for a long time to basically come out with a series of live service attempts and just see what sticks on the wall, because live service games can be so profitable that you can have 5 failures if you have 1 success. That's all you really need. And then that success is a success for years on end, which establishes recurrent revenues. And the thing with big corporations right now in the financial space we're in is that the name of the game is consistent, steady revenue. That's what they're looking for. That's why Microsoft has been chasing revenues, or rather subscription model revenue, as opposed to little spikes of revenue with individual releases. It's why Netflix has been doing that with their subscription models. It's why every major streaming service offers that, instead of like, buy this TV show for $20 and you get the whole show. Easy. Buy the whole season for $10 and then you have it. You don't have to pay anything extra for oncoming months. You want to watch just The Office on Peacock? Okay, just give us $50. You get the whole series of The Office. They don't do that because they can make a lot more with subscription revenue, where it's a smaller initial upfront cost to the user, but over time it ends up being a lot more. And because it's an overtime thing, it happens every single month that they charge you, that makes their balance sheet much more reliable, and there's a lot less question. You know, there's a lot less risk involved. You'll hear in finance a lot of the time references to like a risk-free rate, which is sort of like, if you look at something, let me pull this up, risk-free rate today. Usually what this is it's found through treasury rates, because in order for a treasury rate to not be paid out, the government of the United States would have to implode and financially collapse. So at that point, you have bigger problems. So usually the treasury rates are what you would look at. And how this is usually done is that there is a risk-free rate, and then there is the risk rate tacked on top of it, or, you know, that could be inflation. There's those adjustments kind of tacked on top, so you end up with the full like nominal rate on top of everything. But with this, like, as you get steady revenues coming in, the risk factor in that rate drops. In the same way, like if you have a credit score of 305, I think that like 300 I think is the lowest, maybe it's not, but like you have a very low credit score, and then you go in and you apply for a car loan, and the car loan is going to be $20,000, and you can put down, let's even say just $500 or something. You have very little to put down. You are a big risk. So their risk-free rate might just be like, okay, right now it's 4.99% for cars. Okay, that's the cheapest of the cheap debt. But then they look at you and you're a huge question mark. You're super high risk. They don't know if you're going to make your payment or not. So all of a sudden your rate is like 25%. It's like straight up a credit card loan on a car, because there's such a big question mark as to whether they're actually going to get the money from you. And with companies, valuations happen similarly. If revenues are all over the place, in some months and some quarters, they make crazy amounts of money, and then the next quarter they're losing tons of money, it's a huge question mark. And so investors are going to increase that risk rate effectively when they're balancing and pricing out how much the company's worth. And that usually ends up in the stock price being dropped, because when you're really risky, you're less valuable than a more reliable, or you're less valuable than a reliable company that consistently is making money. Yeah, 305. Yeah. The closer to 100. Yeah. It's like when somebody's like, yeah, I got my credit score back, scored 100. Perfect score, baby. Or like in Parks and Rec, when Andy's like, yeah, I bought a motorcycle. I got a loan on it. Got 29% interest, which apparently is like one of the highest that they offer. So pretty cool. Just no idea what it means. But anyway, I want to just say, like, with all this, all of these companies are chasing consistent revenues. That's the name of the game. It's how you find ways to get investors really confident in your company if you have consistent revenues coming in. That's why investors love games like Fortnite. They love Call of Duty. They love Candy Crush, because every single quarter they bring in billions of dollars, and they don't take big releases, big marketing pushes or anything. They just kind of work. They just print money consistently over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that's what they're trying to do over at Warner Brothers Discovery. What they go on to say is the move does come as somewhat of a surprise, considering that Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy was 2023's best-selling title, which is the first time a game has dethroned Call of Duty or a Rockstar game in over 15 years. By the end of 2023, Hogwarts Legacy achieved a sales milestone of 22 million copies sold. But that wasn't enough. In late 2023, Insider Gaming exclusively reported that Warner Brothers Discovery does have a live service Harry Potter game in development named Quidditch Champions. The game is a twist on the very popular Rocket League, where players need to score a ball in the hoops, but does offer fluid and fast-paced gameplay that does have a skill gap that players could come to enjoy. Late last year, Harry Potter Quidditch Champions had its biggest playtest yet, suggesting that the game could be nearing a release. And this was something people asked me if I went to the playtest, if I've tried the game. And what I would say to that is that if I did not participate, I would be able to very clearly tell you I did not participate. If I did, I certainly wouldn't tell you, because that would break NDAs and stuff. So anyway. So I want to be clear. They have live service games in the Harry Potter franchise in the works. Okay. It's been reported. People have talked about it. It's been leaked even. People have talked about it, okay? When he says that they want to find a way to get a Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter that's a live service, that could mean an additional game, not Hogwarts Legacy 2. It could be a spin-off game. There could be live service components to it, or it could be that Assassin's Creed Valhalla thing, where they just release Hogwarts Legacy 2, and then they have like ongoing, hey, every season for fall, we're going to have a Halloween themed event and all new cosmetics you can purchase. And we're going to decorate the Wizarding World like Halloween, and it's going to be great. And there's going to be pumpkins everywhere, some new quests. That to me is just fine. I'd be okay with that. I can work with that. Live service, but it's a core single player game that's just high quality. That works. I'm happy with that. On the flip side, if this turns into trying to turn the Hogwarts Legacy into an MMO, I have more of a problem with that. So right now, everybody's freaking out about these comments from this executive, but I also want to remind everybody of the setting where he's giving these comments. What do investors love most in the gaming space? Live service games. That's what they love most. He's talking directly to investors who are pretty upset at Suicide Squad being a total flop and failing miserably and wasting hundreds of millions of dollars. And so how is he going to quell them? Well, we have things in the works that are going to generate billions, so don't stress it. We're just fine. We have things under control. It's just a matter of time before we release it. I would not be surprised if he's kind of playing a little bit with both sides. I don't think they're going to necessarily convert Hogwarts Legacy 2 into a full-on live service game, but I also would not be shocked at all if there are these Assassin's Creed Valhalla-like mechanics and elements in it, where there's paid cosmetics, where there's things like that, and then maybe seasonal updates or new quest lines for holidays and stuff. And I think that would be absolutely fine if they introduced a Halloween quest line where you fight like a magical pumpkin monster, and maybe it's like they offer you some cosmetics that you can buy for $5 or $10 here and there if you want them. That to me, perfectly fine if the core game is good and they were given time to work on it. I think right now Avalanche does have a lot of saying power and a lot of control on the project, because they came along and offered Warner Brothers the biggest success, not just of the year in gaming, but also certainly in their gaming repertoire, probably ever. I think ever. I don't think there's ever been a time that Warner Brothers has ever had a successful game on that scale. So I think that if they say, no, we're not going live service, trust us, players liked our game for these reasons, we're going to double down on those. We can put cosmetics or seasonal updates and things in that. We can do DLC, but we're not going to scrap what people loved about the game. I think that they have a little bit more say than just being at the whims of the executives. At least they should. And so I'm confident that they will push back if they try to bend their arm and force them into something. Yeah, that's my impression. Is Suicide Squad drop the live service junk, or if Suicide Squad dropped the live service junk, lower the price to $40 and just focus on narrative in the wheelhouse of Rocksteady, they would have crushed it. Potential. I mean, dropping the live service would totally change the game, because the whole grind, the whole like weapon crafting system, all of that stuff is built around trying to pad out gameplay time. So I think the game would look very, very, very different. And honestly, they probably would not have chosen to do a Suicide Squad game if they had done that. My idea for it back in the day, I think, in my original critique of the Arkham series, like 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, yeah, I hope one day we get a Suicide Squad game. I thought we were going to get like a Suicide Squad game where they use the Nemesis system and like you were fighting up and coming superheroes, which could be kind of cool. Like I thought they were going to do something with that, but what we ended up getting was so much less exciting. So much less exciting. If most people vote with their wallets, Warner Brothers will abandon live service strategy. Yeah, it's just, I think Suicide Squad is a great example of voting with your wallet. So you did this. Yeah, sorry everybody. I think that Suicide Squad, by most accounts, probably lost $100+ million. Probably more like $200 to $300 million. I don't know how big Rocksteady is. I mean, I guess we could do some clunky math. Rocksteady employees. They say they have 250 team members in London. So 250 employees. Ooh, baby. Okay, so if we do that and we say 250 employees, I don't know what their average salary would come out to, but if we said the average is like, oh, it's going to be more expensive because they're in London. But if we say, you know, it's 100,000 on average when you factor in also the costs of the studio, the costs of healthcare, the costs of taxes, the costs of IT, everything, you know, it might come out to around 100,000 a year. And then they basically did nothing for 9 years. Right? I'd be upset too. I would call that a financial failure as well. And that's assuming this doesn't factor in the costs of outside contractors that were helping with development. This doesn't count the costs of marketing the game, which they spent a ton of money marketing the game. This doesn't factor in costs of, you know, any surprising like upgrade costs in terms of licensing Unreal Engine or any of that other stuff. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this number is closer to like 300 plus million. They maybe made 50 to 90 million off of sales, but now we're hearing stories of lots of refunds and stuff hitting. So there were reportedly plenty of refunds on Steam as well. So I would not be surprised if this game lost upwards of like $300 million for Warner Brothers, which, how that is not a wake-up call to Warner Brothers, I don't know. But this is part of the trouble with studios that always are able to come up with excuses for it. Like, anytime there's a game that's horrifically received, you should look at it and be like, okay, why did this not connect with fans? Why did fans not like this? And how can we learn from it and grow? But instead, it seems like so much of it, and I won't get into too much, but there's been some statements and stuff from some of the people that have worked on this game, which basically dismiss the dislike of this game as either bigotry, which in some cases maybe it is. There are people that are just being nasty and horrible. But other people are like, nope, you were just unfair. You guys just haven't given the game a chance. You need to try it. The game's actually amazing. The combat system's fantastic. There's this and that. And it's that to me is why I don't think that we're going to see like a Cyberpunk reworking of it. I mean, I just don't think we see that, because if the people that made the game don't think it's that bad and they can't see why people are not liking it, then there's just nothing that can be done. A Harley single player game? Yeah, that would have been cool. How many copies did they sell to make enough? They probably needed to sell 6 million, maybe. Yeah, I mean, they needed to sell millions and millions. And not to mention that there's added costs to this because they're going to be supporting this for at least a year. So, you know, it's not as simple as just releasing it and then moving on to the next game. Like, they're working on this for years to come, allegedly. But as of right now, oh God. They have 365 players in the game. I'm also not a mathematician, but this is a downward sloping line. Downward sloping. That's a big old yikes. Wow. It's like the last stream we talked about this. Somebody was like, Luke, you have more concurrent viewers than Suicide Squad has players. And I was like, really? And then it turns out it's true, because like, we do well on the stream clips. We don't tend to have a whole lot of people in the actual streams. We just don't. It's fine. I kind of prefer it because it means that we can be more like direct and I can talk with you guys more directly. It's not as chaotic. It's not like those big streamers where it's just emojis flying by. You can't read any messages. So I kind of like it. But we literally, like, if you guys all went and booted up Suicide Squad, we would triple the number or quadruple the number of players instantaneously, you know? Which is just freaking funny to me. So based on these estimations from these guys, if we take the median, which is usually roughly the most accurate way of finding it, let's say, you know, I don't know, maybe 140,000 copies on Steam. 140,000 is nothing to scoff at. You know, that's a nice chunk of change. 140,000 times 70. Well, actually, it's going to be less than 70 because Steam. Oh, come on. Steam is going to take their cut. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think Steam's cut is 30%, right? So it's 70 times 0.7 because they take 30%, and then that's times, let's say, 140,000. So, you know, 6.8 million for an indie studio. That's fantastic. That's tremendous. But when your costs were most likely around 300 million, that's not great. Players on PlayStation, I'm sure there's even more that bought it over there. Maybe a couple 100,000 bought it over there. And so maybe, you know, this is, let's say if there's only a quarter of players are on Steam and the rest are on consoles. And so, you know, we can crank it up. I mean, we might be at 20 million. We might be at like 28 million. We're probably below 30 million all told in revenue. And then maybe, you know, a couple of $100,000 from cosmetics that people bought. There are a lot of people that bought the deluxe version, so that's a good point. Some people will be like, oh, well, they bought the $100 version, so it's actually a full 70. But even if we say every single one of those 140,000 copies on Steam paid for the $100 edition, it's still 10 million on PC. And, you know, still, if you try to give it the benefit of the doubt and you crank it and you say like, okay, and then that was only a quarter and the rest of the units sold on console, we're still only at $40 million for a game that cost hundreds of millions. You know? Not great. Not great. Suicide Squad feels like a project that should have been canceled 2 years in. It seems like an idea that anybody could have come in and been like, this just doesn't seem like something people want. But this is the problem with executives and groups that refuse to take feedback from actual gamers and instead rely on feedback from people outside of the core industry or the player base. Because then you end up with this, which was perfectly avoidable. You could have asked any one of the people here in chat, and I'm guessing even the people that like this game a lot and have had good fun with it would have had lots of notes on why this doesn't work and what they would change and how they would shift it. And I agree. Like, I think a lot of this doesn't make sense, and it could have been avoided very easily. But anyway. Trent, that's awesome. I'm glad I'm not too distracting because my whole stream is basically me becoming distracted. So maybe I just take out the, I do the distraction for you. Maybe that's how it works. Warner Brothers, next time we'll target 400 players. Yeah. Ugh. Anyway, so everybody, fam, we're going to do the podcast here in just about 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new podcast event for the podcast. And so we'll end this stream, and then the next stream you'll see on the Luke Stevens live page is going to be for the podcast. Should pop in a couple of minutes, and then you can hop over there, and in about 15 minutes we'll pop on and do the podcast show with Mr. Joe Raptor. It's going to be awesome. We'll rock and roll. and we'll knock this out and have a good talk about all sorts of stuff, okay? So I'll see you in just a few minutes, everybody. Much love. If I don't see you over there, I'll see you on the next stream on Friday, but hopefully you can come by to the podcast, okay? See you in just a few.